You're watching the Hong Kong Racing Show. Andrew Brown and Alex Evers with you to guide you through all the latest in the world of Hong Kong racing viewed through a North American lens. Another fantastic show coming up. Our special guest this week, none other than seven-time Hong Kong champion jockey Zac Purton. He's getting ready to make his return to the races after injury. One of his rides this weekend, the world's best sprinter, YING Rising. We'll preview that race a little later, and I cannot wait to catch up with Zac Purton. Also can't wait to catch up with my mate Alex Evers, who's back from Hong Kong after covering the Hong Kong Derby. Welcome back to the United States of America, Alex.
Albeit briefly, but thank you, Brownie. Did you enjoy that race from afar?
Outstanding. Yeah, who would have thought? As we have a look at the replay, Cap Ferrara breaking his maiden at start number 17, holding off a very fast finishing My Wish. A great ride from Craig Williams on the winner. What did you think of the performance, Alex? And you were there. Tell us about the atmosphere.
Atmosphere was insane. There was actually, I think I saw the number, it was like 61, 62,000 people that were there. Loud, crowd was insane. Parade ring was crazy before the race. I was a little bit just, it's a weird emotional thing for me because Vincent rode that horse, Muddies with him. I've been tipping that horse too every time he'd run. And I got off of him in the 1800. And then I got off of him. And then my biggest fear was one on the rail, one eight across the track, flying down the middle. And I talked about it all week to other people too. So I almost manifested that finish, and my camera focused on My Wish because that closing sectional. You look at the board with 150 meters to go, and it looked like he was going to get there, and then he just fell a bit short. So my performance wasn't as great as I'd like it to be. Some of the pictures were insane, and I'm very proud of some of the stuff that I did, but my handheld wasn't necessarily what I wanted it to be. And then there's just this like sense of disbelief. Like I could not believe that horse held on from the late running My Wish. And I personally thought My Wish was going to settle a little bit forward. I didn't think he was going to go the voyage bubble route and go back to last. And had a couple conversations with people about how you ride the 2,000 meters at Sha Tin, and you got to move from the eight to the six and kind of progress if you're going to be in the back marker. And he didn't do that, and I didn't necessarily check the pace. So there's some things that I wasn't happy with myself, but it's an incredible run. And that Caffarra is gorgeous. I mean, he's a beautiful horse. And for our American audience, he's out of a Bernardini mare, and he kind of has a look of
Mm.
Bernardini a little bit to him, too. And now we'll just see. But at least to me, I think out of all those horses that have come out of that race, I do think the most consistent horse in the series and maybe the most talented, we'll see. I mean, there's plenty of racing to go, but My Wish was really,
Oh,
really
yeah.
impressive. The entire series, like, he was on pace in the 1800, and he just got run over the top late by Ruby Lot. He was against the bias completely, and there definitely was an inside speed bias to the A course on Sunday last week, and he ran against that. And there was only other horse to come from behind was Invincible Shields, another horse that I really, really like. And had we had best bets, that probably would have been my best bet last week with Ryan on him. But those two running against that bias was pretty impressive. And I do think both of those horses, and obviously different races, but I think they're going to come out and be kind of future stars in Hong Kong racing, or at least that's my take on it.
Yeah, look, I totally agree with My Wish. Extremely gallant in defeat, and certainly the most consistent 4-year-old in the classic series for many of the reasons you just outlined. Unlucky not to be a Derby winner. How great that would have been for Mark Newnham in his second year as a trainer there in Hong Kong. But credit where credit's due as well. Cap Ferrar getting the job done is the first maiden to win the Hong Kong Derby in 35 years. The former Australian was Group 1 placed prior to coming to Hong Kong. A second BMW Hong Kong Derby win for trainer Francis Liu, also who won it with Golden 60 back in 2020. The 66-year-old trainer certainly enjoying plenty of success in the, I guess it's fair to say, second half of his career as a trainer. But speaking of My Wish, the runner-up, you are responsible for this sensational photo that is going viral on Twitter, Alex. Can you talk us through this epic pic?
I'm assuming it's the way you're talking about, where it's like looking through the horse's legs first time by at him.
Yes. Yep.
That camera I literally branded as my Wish camera, and I made sure that I had something out in the middle of the track because this whole series had been an enigma for me, where they had run just away from all the work that I've been doing with the remotes. And so I had a camera, focused 878 pass outside, and it actually got a beautiful picture of him running second. But that one was just kind of a unique perspective, and it shows the frenetic nature of the horses battling for position and Luke looking over to try to figure out where he was going to slot in from barrier 14. And again, in Hong Kong, it's the weights, it's the barriers. There's so many factors that can get maybe the best horse beat in a race, and it just kind of goes to show the story of that race. And like I said, tough frames to make because my handheld, I shot the wrong horse, and there will always be a sense of like, man, I picked the wrong horse, and it's gonna happen. It's not gonna be the first time, definitely not the first time. March Lorraine was one of the tough ones for me, where I was on Dunbar Road to the inside. It certainly won't be the last, but it's one of those things. It's taking me a bit to get over. It's probably contributing to the jet lag a little bit. Is my personal lack of positive feelings about what I did out there.
Oh, no, you did a terrific job as always, and your photos are being admired around the world. And yeah, that I just had to bring up that one of my wish. It was absolutely sensational. So thanks for sharing that one with
Oh,
us.
thank you, man. Thank you.
Well, two of the biggest stars in Hong Kong racing return to the races at Sha Tin this weekend. We can't speak to the world's best sprinter, Ying Rising, but we can talk to his jockey, seven-time Hong Kong champion rider, Zac Purton, who's making his much-anticipated return from injury. Zac, thank you for joining. I see the trainers have been putting you through your paces at the trials over the last week or so. How is the toe and the rest of your body feeling fitness-wise ahead of Sunday?
I'm actually surprised at how well I feel fitness wise. I've done a lot of work in the gym, which has been good in the time that I've been out and done a lot of work on the bike and things like that. So my fitness actually feels pretty good. Obviously, there's nothing like race riding and race fitness, and that'll come after a meeting or two. But I rode at the trials on Tuesday. I had 9 rides and I got through them really well, pulled up well. The toe wasn't too bad, hips a little bit sore, but it's just the way things are these days. But yeah, we'll just manage it, get on with it, and look forward to getting back out there.
Sweet. It looks like you've been enjoying your time off. Like a lot of Hong Kong racing fans have been following you on Instagram and other social channels. It seems like you've hit a lot of really good Hong Kong restaurants and attended a lot of kids' sports days. Is that right?
Yes, I was, as soon as the kids had the chance, they booked me up to pick them up from school, drop them off, take them to all their sport. I've been to the concerts, I've been everywhere. So they've kept me really, really busy. And outside of that, of course, we were going to some restaurants and bars and getting around Hong Kong and doing as much as I could do. But yeah, no, one thing I don't need is another set menu at a restaurant, I'll tell you that.
How'd you keep fit?
Well, it wasn't much I could do with the foot. Obviously, I was on crutches for the majority of it and just hobbling around. So I was just going to the gym, doing some upper body work stuff, getting on the bike. I could get on the bike after sort of 2.5 weeks, and without using the toe, I was using the heel of my foot and just ticking over. So doing that and doing a few other things. But yeah, just made sure I just kept ticking over and kept doing something because the last thing you want to do is sit there like a couch potato doing nothing and then all of a sudden try and ride a heap of racehorses. It's just not going to work. So it was important to keep the body ticking over and keeping the muscles working. I went to physio and I was just doing a lot of different exercises, just small things just to keep ticking over.
Hey, so Zach, I got a question for you too, and I'm trying to improve and get better every day at this type of stuff. And I know you get asked questions all the time by different interviews, podcasts, et cetera, et cetera. What is like the most cliche or your least favorite question that you get asked all the time?
To be honest, I don't really have anything that worries me too much. I'm in a place where you get asked a lot of so-called silly questions, and that's just it's the place that we're in. But there's nothing that worries me. No, I'm not too phased.
All right, so we're doing a good job, Brownie. We none of our questions hit that list, so we're on fire right now.
Well, it'll tell us when we stop recording anyway.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, never ask me that again.
Yeah, I do
Well,
find
Zac,
it
I'm sure all
surprising
our
though when.
audience wants
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say I do
to go.
find it surprising though when people ask me if I ride the same horse in every race. I just that still blows my mind, but that is the perception out there sometimes.
Well, I'm sure you'd like to ride this horse in every race, Ying Rising, who's back on Sunday. You were on him at the trials last week. It was nice to see you ride a winner in your first ride back.
Yeah, well, he's such a nice horse to do anything with. It was great to be on his back again, and great to be on him for my first trial back. He just carted me around as he does and did his job. He pulled up well. He looks great. He feels enormous. I rode him again this morning. He's just a pleasure to do anything with, and it's great to have him back at the races for my first day back.
Did you like the way he won over the 7 furlongs when Karras was aboard last out, Zach, when you were sidelined with injury?
Yeah, I did. I thought he showed a lot of courage and heart in that race. Obviously, that early section was quite fast. They went 21-3, and he had to do a little bit of work, which was going to soften him up. And at the top of the straight, it looked like he was a little bit vulnerable. But once he changed his leg, he found that second gear, and if anything, he looked stronger on the line and was getting away from the other horses again. So I was really pleased with that. And he comes through the run really well. He ate up that night. He hasn't taken a backward step. So the run didn't hurt him. He's had enough time to get over it and freshen up between runs. The trial showed us that, he's going really well. And yeah, he's he's a super little horse, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He went nice on the dirt in that trial Friday too. Like he just, I kind of want to see this horse run on the dirt at some point. I know it probably will never work out with the purses and the travel, but fuck, he goes so good on the dirt.
No, I agree. There's something in me that wants to run him in America on the dirt too. So
Let's
I don't know
go.
if we'll ever, I don't know if we'll ever get our wish, but yeah, anything's possible. Yeah.
Mm. So all things going well, it's on to Champions Day next month, and then his next race after that likely to be the world's richest race on turf, the Everest at Royal Randwick in September. Have you seen any competition down under worth being aware of, or I wouldn't say scared of, but at least conscious of, Zach?
It's probably a little bit early to be worrying too much about the horses in Australia because so much can happen in the next 6 months. But four of the horses that
Yeah.
raced in the Everest last year have been retired since. So that sort of leaves a little bit of a hole within the sprinting ranks down there. The horse that won at Rose Hill on
Mm.
the weekend, Private Harry, looked as if he did it in good style. The horse that ran second to him was a good effort. Jolly Star
Yeah.
won well down there in Melbourne. Switzerland is a chance that he could improve. And the TJ Smith is on at Randwick next weekend, so we'll get to see the 1200 metre sprinters at Randwick, and that'll give us a good guide of and how they're going and the likely horses out of that might press on towards the Everest. But yeah, it's probably a little bit early to be sort of focusing on the horses too much. I'm sort of just trying to make sure my boy's in as good as form as he can be in and doing everything right so we can get down there.
Nice. Well, speaking of Australia, that's where you're going to be for day one of the championships at Randwick next weekend. And in one of the biggest races of the day, the Group 1 Doncaster, you've picked up the ride on a horse who our audience is very familiar with, the Canadian superstar MOIRA, last year's Female Horse of the Year and Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare turf winner. How did you get linked up with MOIRA?
Yeah, so obviously she was bought by Yulong at the sale and taken to Australia and given to Chris Waller. And my agent sort of asked me if I was interested in riding her, and he had to talk me into it because I didn't know her, of course. Had to do some research and have a look at her. And he said the state was very happy with her and she settled into Australia well. And obviously, Chris is a great trainer. We respect his opinion and what he can do with these imports. And, hopefully I don't get to see her until race day. None of us do really under the competitive nature of a race in Australia. So there's that unknown. But you sort of believe in the people that you're working with, and we trust Chris, and I'm sure she's going to run well. But she's a horse that more than I do, and if you think she's got it and she can measure up, well, then that'll give you more confidence.
No, that's a really nice mare. And then for someone like you, you've never ridden her, or you wouldn't have been on her in track work or anything like that. You just look to get him in a comfortable rhythm and just rely on that feel that you kind of have for pace and when they're going comfortably and just try to present him at the right time.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. It's hard to formulate a proper race pan that um, we can rely on, because I don't really know how much gate speed she's going to show under race conditions over the mile there. So, yeah, you're right. It's more just sort of ride her a little bit on feel. Have an understanding of how she's raced before, and what the opposition might likely do. But it's more so a case of just riding her as I find her, and just trying to get her into the right rhythm, get her comfortable. And I know she's going to run a strong mile. We know she can run beyond a mile, and at Randwick over the mile, you need a horse that can run a strong mile, and she fits that bill. So um, that that's certainly going to hold her in good stead when the going gets tough. She's hopefully going to get going.
I'd love to see her defend her title, Breeders' Cup, back at Del Mar again this year with Zac Purton aboard at Del Mar. How good would that be in November?
That'd be
Yeah, that'd be
awesome, man. That'd be
great.
so good.
Yeah,
We need more of the.
yeah. I'd love to get down there on her to ride her in. Get over there. Sorry, on her to ride in one of those races. That'd be great. Maybe a Kentucky Derby or something before that, just to give me a little bit of a feel of the racing there as well. That'd be good.
Yeah, that would be unreal. Zac, it's a race you've won 3 times before, and you've won it for Chris Waller before as well. Most recently, you were aboard Mr. Brightside for the Hayes boys just a couple of years ago. How much does it mean to you to be able to go back to your sort of old HQ there in Sydney and ride on one of the big race days?
It's great. Yeah, Randwick's one of the greatest courses in the world, in my opinion. It's a lovely track to ride at. It's beautiful. They have a great atmosphere there. Socially, there are a lot of people on track there to enjoy their day. They really get involved, and then they have the concert afterwards as well. But the racing itself, every race is stacked with a lot of depth, and a really good spread of quality horses. So it's great to be back there. It's a very fair track. It gives a lot of horses their chance. But it's a very competitive race meeting. So you need the right horse, you need the right gate, you need to be in the right spot. Need a lot of things to go right, as is the case in every race. But yeah, no, I do enjoy getting back there, especially for this meeting.
Nice. And then speaking of Mr. Brightside, who's actually going to be making his way from Australia to Hong Kong for Champions Day. Of course, that'll be YING Rising there, one of your rides on Champions Day at the end of next month. And I hear you're also potentially looking at riding Galaxy Patch in the mile if things go well this weekend at Sha Tin.
Yeah, well, that will be the case if he runs well. Then I'll most likely ride him in the Champions Mile. But he's sort of lost his way a little bit, you could say, these last few starts. He was looking like he was the better 4-year-old to come through and step out this season. He just hasn't taken that next step. And if anything, he's probably just regressed a little bit the last couple of runs. But we know he's got it. He's just a
Yeah.
very quirky and tricky horse.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of just finding the right key to him, which I don't really think they have yet. And then hopefully just getting it right on race day. So we need a few things to go our way, but he's got the ability. It's just a matter of extracting it from him.
Yeah, he seems like headstrong early, and if he's too close to the pace, his runs don't finish off as well. But like when everything goes his way, he's got all the ability in the world, right? I mean, that's what it looks like to myself who can't ride a horse.
Well, the hard thing in Hong Kong, because our tracks are so hard and so fast, that a lot of the times the on-pace horses have an advantage. And in the recent years, we haven't had much speed in the mile races. So for him to sit out the back, two,
Yeah.
3 lengths off the second last horse, and expect that he's going to reel them in, well, it's just impossible to do that. So at some stage, you've either got
Yeah.
to start riding him differently, training differently, do something differently. I know when I rode him in a trial last week, it felt to me like he wasn't quite applying himself properly in the latter stages of the trial when he needed to be. And previously, he raced in blinkers, but they took the blinkers off him to try and get him to settle
Yeah.
over the mile in 2000. And he might just need the blinkers back on, but then you're on that knife's edge where you put the blinkers on, he overdoes it early, and he doesn't finish his race off. But the way he's going,
Yeah.
he's not finishing his race off anyway. So at some stage, you just got to bite the bullet and and go with something different.
Speaking of Champions Day, one last question before we let you go, Zach. I know you've got to get off to a massage, lucky bastard. I hear you riding El Vencedor in the QE2 Cup. That news broke this week. You'll be taking on the mighty Goliath. We were talking to one of his owners from Resolute Racing, John Stewart, on the show a couple of weeks ago. What do you know about your ride and potentially taking on Goliath as well? How much do you know about Goliath?
Oh, Goliath's a star, isn't he? He's a very, very good horse, and if he brings his best, even if he's 2 lengths off his best, we can't beat him. He's that good. So he's just got to travel here and have an even run race, and he's most probably going to be too good for us. But the Japanese are going to send another couple of handy horses as well, and my horse El Venador. Well, in recent times, it looks as if he's just taken another step. He's been racing really well in New Zealand, very consistent. He's on a winning streak. Horses winning in good form with a bit of confidence can sometimes surprise you. He's got good gate speed. He might end up leading the race, and he'll give them something to trace and follow. So, hopefully we can stay in front for as long as we can. Hopefully they don't run us down, but at least I'll have something in front that's going to take them a long way.
Hey, if it plays anything like it did Derby Day, being that close to the pace and being near the front won't be a bad thing.
Yeah, every race meeting is different, but yeah, we've had some unusually on pace inside bias tracks on the A course in the last couple of years, which we never used to have. It used to be more of a swoopers track, but sometimes the weather is different.
Yeah.
They prepare it different. It's tracks. Don't always race to the same bias, but we'll just have to see what we get on the day. But yeah, hopefully it's hot rail, hot leaders, and that'll give us more of a chance.
Well, we've got a lot to look forward to in the world of Hong Kong racing over the next few weeks, and the world of world pool racing as well. I guess at Randwick, being a world pool event there as well. Zach, it's great to have you back. We can't wait to watch you at Sha Tin on Sunday or Saturday night North American time. We've got a full book of rides. We're really excited to see you. So excited to see YING Rising, and good luck for the rest of the season. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. It's obviously been a bit very disappointing and a bit frustrating being out, but I'm looking forward to getting back out there, and hopefully we can pick up where we left off, which won't be easy because it'll probably take a few weeks to get back into the rhythm of things and sort of start to get some of the rides back that I'd like to have. But some trainers there are willing to support me, and other trainers want to see me back riding well. So it's the nature of the beast, and we'll just keep our head down, work hard, and hopefully in a few weeks' time we'll be flying again.
That's awesome. Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
I just love talking to Zach, Alex. So many incredible insights, and he's just always so generous with his time.
Yeah, he's the best. He's wonderful. Maybe he's getting ready for a future career as a TV pundit because he's loved coming on and talking with us. He'd be great too, I think.
Yeah. That's if Nicole doesn't get him to become a trainer. I think that's potentially in his future as well. We'll see what
His
happens.
agent.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's time to look at the feature race, or one of the feature races at Sha Tin this weekend, the Group 2 Sprint Cup, where Purton will, of course, jump aboard the world's best sprinter, YING Rising, who is looking for 11 straight wins now. It was 3 straight Group 1s last out. Drops back from 7 furlongs to 6 and picks up a £5 penalty for Group 2 conditions. I'm not sure a £50 penalty will be enough to stop him, though. Outside of YING Rising, we've got Helios Express, who now no doubt will be trying his best again. He's run second behind YING Rising 4 times this season. And California Spangle, we know how good he is, but he's been a little bit out of sorts this season. The speed map has California Spangle taking up his usual role in front. Alex, who do you like?
I've been doing this every single time these horses run. I've been going Kying Rising. I just think he's unbeatable at this point under these conditions, especially with Purton aboard. I'm going to go Helios Express second again. I think if you've played this exacta and you've parlayed it, you got to be up a nice chunk of money at this point. And then the other one that I've picked on before is Lucky with You. So I got him in there for third. How deep is your love isn't here to pick that one again, as we've done many a time this season. He's going to go off to the Alquaz sprints, and I kind of thought earlier in the season that we'd see Helios Express over there, but there is so much money in Hong Kong, and running second to a horse like Kying Rising and not having to ship, you pick up a nice check there. But those are the three I like: Kying Rising, Helios Express, and Lucky with You. What about you, Andrew?
Promise you I didn't look at your notes before this. I've got the exact same trifecta. So let's have an ice cold trifecta in the Sprint Cup this weekend and see if we can land it. I don't know if it's going to pay much, but something is better than nothing. We'll see how we go. The Chairman's Trophy, the other feature race on the card. We heard from Zac Purton earlier, taking the ride on Galaxy Patch. If anyone can turn around his form, it's going to be Purton. But I really like Chang Chang Glory here, the Pride of Iowa, as my best bet of the day, Alex. No voyage bubble here. Loves the track and trip. Let's go, Iowa. Do you have a best bet on the card, or perhaps someone that you like in that race?
You know what? I'm going to end up on Galaxy Patch in that race because I do think
Yep.
he's an enigmatic horse to ride. And you've
Yep.
seen it kind of, he's just really tricky to go. And then we talked to Zach a little bit about that too. But I think
Mm.
if anybody's going to get him on the right track here, it's going to be Purton under these weight conditions and no voyage bubble here. And he definitely is on par with Chen Chen Glory. So if things got his way, and again, who knows what the bias is going to be on the card. There's another horse that I was looking at in the races, and I believe it's in race 6. And I like Circuit Jolly with Karis Teeton. Purton had been riding him. He gets in with lightweight. Nice barrier in barrier 3. Should be able to slot in right there on the speed or right there behind it and get a dream trip. And if Fence and Forward is playing the bias again, that would be one that I'm big on
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And we'll catch up with you next week in Dubai ahead
in
of
Dubai.
Romantic Warriors Dubai Turf. And as you mentioned, also, we've got How Deep Is Your Love in the Al Quoz. So that'll be exciting to talk to you then.
Yeah, and we got Sword Point too. Don't forget Sword
Yeah.
Point against Raging Torrent. I don't know if he's good enough to beat him, but he's a dirt horse. And he trialed really, really well against Kying Rising last Friday at Sha Tin. He's right there with him. So maybe. Hopefully we get to fly the Hong Kong flag nice and proud. I know an American, but they've taken me in as one of their own. So Team Hong Kong right here.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. And hopefully you get over your jet lag just in time to then fly to Dubai and be jet lagged again.
Yeah, I'm the 16 hours straight to Dubai. I'm not used to, so that one's kind of daunting. It's kind of weighing on me a little bit at this point in the season, but no complaints. Happy to be here and happy to get over there and see the horses.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Lucky you. Well, we'll catch up with you next week from Dubai, and we look forward to previewing that card and all the other action coming up from Hong Kong, and looking back at those two big races at Sha Tin this weekend, including the world's best sprinter, Ying Rising. It was great to catch up with Zac Purton on this show. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next week on the Hong Kong Racing Show.